Hello, and thank you very much for coming along once again this evening. In fact, this evening we're going to be looking again in greater detail at something that's going to have a climax during this coming week on the 14th of December. The climax is pretty staggering, and it has to do with whether or not we'll be able to keep in touch with citizens around the world, around the country, to learn how we should act on key issues affecting our lives, our health, our safety, the environment, the climate, and the like. All of citizen action depends on information. And this week there's going to be a very important decision made about information in our society, made by the Federal Communications Commission. It has to do with the future of the Internet and what kind of information you can expect to receive on the Internet from now on in. It has to do with what's called net neutrality, and we're going to look at that in detail because, in effect, net neutrality is under attack at this point. So if you're searching for truth in the Internet age, you may be very surprised to find out that the Internet may not be a reliable source of information, especially after Thursday of this coming week. Basically, we're witnessing the corporate capture of the web and a crisis for the survival of Internet integrity, the information that's going to be conveyed in the Internet. This is part of a larger series that we're looking at in terms of searching for truth in the Internet age, and we've touched upon various chapters of it. The war on science within the administration, leading some to resign, like Joel Clement, a very prominent scientist in the Department of Interior, declaring in the Washington Post that he's blowing the whistle on the Trump administration. But in addition, there's been a larger attack, especially on climate science, led by other branches of the government as well, including Jim Inhofe's work and his propaganda book called The Greatest Hoax, suggesting that there's no truth to global warming science. And his friend and close ally, appointed by Trump as head of the EPA, Scott Pruitt, they've had a straightforward attack on the climate science from within government, but there's also been a third part of this we looked into, which is the larger assault of the Republican Party on the whole question of the free circulation of information and their systematic use of brainwashing techniques through things like Fox News and the like, Sinclair radio networks, to try to get hold of the hearts and minds of people, especially in Middle America. These radio and TV broadcasting stations don't have much impact on the either coast, but they are aimed at the Midwest and the vulnerable pockets of unemployment around the Appalachians and the coal mines. But beyond that, we look specifically at the way in which corporations developed strategies for introducing weapons of mass deception. And the Union of Concerned Scientists actually published a disinformation playbook which indicated very clearly the strategies that are used by corporations to confuse the public. It's not to convince the public, but to confuse them, so it makes impossible the passage of deliberate public policy on things like climate change. And we ask ourselves in passing, what if Big Oil hadn't deceived us? They've been lying for 40 years, and through their consultants have made it clear that nothing is clear, right? That's their product, confusion. And with very capable writers like Danny Yergin, they've been able to keep the confusion alive in public space, even though the clear connection between corporate profits and global warming has been apparent to everyone else in the world. In America, it's confusing. Now, though, we're going to look at this whole question of the way the corporations have, in effect, captured the web and are getting rid of net neutrality. In effect, there are a number of spokesmen who very keenly pointed out this is a crucial time for the citizens of the United States, indeed for citizens of the world, because from now on in you're going to be monetized in terms of what kind of information you expect to get. It's going to be like cable TV. You're going to be able to buy packages of information and be excluded from other packages. For a long time, writers have pointed out that Google has, in effect, herded us towards particular things on the web, and they've limited our speed in certain lanes and, in effect, acted as internet police in one way or another. And we see that increasingly in other countries of the world, but also in the United States, where the internet patrol, in effect, keeps track of what you're looking at, and then will certainly speed up things or slow them down, depending upon what it finds useful for you to see, what they find useful for you to see. Well, this has happened now to the whole of the internet with a new appointment by President Trump. Take a look.
I just want to pose a hypothetical to you. Let's just say Comcast created a new TV series, and it just so happened that that competed with a Netflix series very similarly. If these rules go away, how is there not an incredible incentive for Comcast to slow Netflix down coming into my house and make their video, the Comcast video, very robust?
Well, this guy had no answer to that question, put to him live on MSNBC, because that's exactly what he wants to happen. He wants to have slow lanes and fast lanes, and corporations like Comcast to be able to decide what you're going to view, what you're going to view most conveniently, most quickly, at the top of the search engines and the like. This is President Trump's new appointment to the FCC. An extraordinary individual who spent all of his life as a corporate lobbyist for the telecom industries, and now is being put in charge of the commission that's supposed to regulate the telecom industries. Take a look.
Ajit Pai is the head of the FCC, that's the Federal Communications Commission, and he is honestly a corporate hack. He used to work for Verizon, got paid a good amount of money from them, and then the Republicans put him at the FCC to make sure that he changed the rules in favor of companies like Verizon. It's not just them, it's AT&T and the other internet providers. Now, the reason you have the internet as you do now, which is free and open, is because there were regulations put into place. The regulations do not go and interfere with the internet. In this case, it's a regulation that simply protects the internet, that says that companies who have the pipes going into your house cannot themselves regulate the internet unfairly and slow down some websites, speed up other websites, and create an unequal internet. All it does is protect the internet. So Ajit Pai was brought in to destroy that. And in May, he got his first vote that he wanted to begin to end net neutrality. Now, as we go through this, I'm going to explain to you why the right wing is actually opposed to him, the ones that are online, and why they're right. They need to be more opposed to him than even the left wing. So first, let me give you what happened today. Ajit Pai, the Republican chairman of the FCC, announced on Tuesday that the FCC will vote to roll back Obama-era net neutrality rules that require internet service providers to treat all web traffic equally.
Okay, he's going to roll back the rules that guaranteed net neutrality. Extraordinary. In effect, you're going to be hit with signs that don't tell you this as explicitly as this, but basically you're going to be able to deduce it from your internet speed. The content has been blocked because your ISP has decided that you cannot see it unless you pay them even more money. This is going to start on the 14th, this Thursday. Pay attention. Net neutrality is about to disappear because of this man's decision. It's extraordinary. This content has been blocked, or slowed down, or subject to infinite waits if your ISP wants to charge you more for it. It's extraordinary. And we're going to see some reaction to it. Reaction, in fact, has already been forthcoming and you can see why. Take a look.
Guys, very important message today. Net neutrality is threatened by the FCC, and they're going to be voting on it by December 14th. And the internet, as we know, will be forever fucked. If you don't know, net neutrality right now requires to give everyone equal access. You, me, your family, your friends, your dog, equal access to everything on the internet. That means that Verizon, Spectrum, Charter, AT&T, Comcast, and so on can't charge you for using specific websites. What they want to do by December 14th when they vote on it is what you see here. The FCC is moving to end net neutrality right now and will give big cable companies the ability to charge you for using email, give you video packages, make you pay for banking even, listening to music, package, $5, $10 right there, Discord and Skype, another $5, $10 right there, and make you even pay $5 for news packages, things that you would expect on the open free internet. They want to make fast lanes and slow lanes, depending on what packages you've paid for or haven't paid for. Basically, the internet will be screwed. By the way, they can even charge you $5 or $10 a month, or whatever price they want, for you even using YouTube. This also implies that these companies will have to barter to Verizon or AT&T, and that will drive up their own prices, which means that YouTube could potentially make us charge another price on top of that, as well as Netflix prices going up, and every company you can imagine, even eBay subscriptions too. But also smaller sites and small companies will have no chance to grow, and they will be at the complete mercy of these ISPs, not making their sites go down to a complete crawl, if even accessible at all. This isn't just about prices going up, by the way, guys. If someone makes a website exposing these companies or their affiliates, or some political stance that these ISPs don't agree with, potentially exposing crimes or going against their agenda, they can just block that site from you even accessing it at all.
Now this is the key thing. This is the way censorship will be imposed, both by the companies and by the government. The government can quickly say to these companies that have this power, "Oh, do you want your license renewed? Well, that'd be interesting. Why don't you block these following websites that we find a threat to our political security?" Oh, excuse me, they'd say our national security. And then maybe we can consider whether we'll, in fact, renew your license. If you don't block them, well, your license may not be renewed. I mean, these are never certain, these things. And perhaps we'll have to reconsider whether you deserve a license if you don't block these sites, which aren't in our political interest. So you can see what's involved here. This is an extraordinary move by an appointee just made by President Trump to control the flow of information on the internet. Whether or not you want to put up a website, the question is whether anyone will be able to see it. And, in effect, the video has been blocked by your ISP is something that's going to happen again and again after Thursday. Take a look.
Meanwhile, the Republicans are trying to destroy net neutrality. Now, they've been trying to do this. As I mentioned earlier, again, you won't hear about this on Huffington Post, which is owned by Verizon, or, well, maybe you will, I don't know. But you certainly won't hear it on CNN. You won't hear it on MSNBC, which is owned by Comcast. But there are 4 lawsuits right now by these telecom companies against the FCC to try to overturn net neutrality. Because what they want to do is they want to go to a cable-based system where, oh, you're on the internet? Well, if you want to have access to streaming services, that's an extra $5. If you want to have access to news sites, that's an extra $7. If you want to have access to porn sites, that's an extra $25 a month. If you want to have access to YouTube, that's an extra $3 a month. If you want to have, and they just basically want to create this menu, just like they have it right. Oh, you want to see HBO? That's an extra $5. You want to watch MSNBC? That's an extra $5 a month. And this is the model that the cable industry has created, which is insanely profitable for them. Americans pay anywhere from 2 to 5 times what pretty much anybody else in the developed world pays for cable television. We're screwed. Why? Because we've got giant monopolies that own the industry.
Okay. So they're trying to, in fact, make the net into what the cable system has become. And you know how inadequate the cable system is. You got lots of channels, but you got to pay extra for ones that are worth anything. Otherwise you watch golf 24/7, right? Completely useless channel. Bake shows, yes, bake shows, fantastic bake shows. You can get access to those. But if you want anything with content in it, any drama, anything worthwhile, any documentary, oh yeah, we're going to have to charge you for that. That's not in the package. Well, this is what the internet is going to become if these things go through on Thursday. And it looks like they're going through. According to some, there's even been a falsification of the information they gather to make this decision.
Meanwhile, US regulators say their plans to revoke so-called net neutrality rules have widespread public backing. The move could lead to a two-speed internet where some sites pay to get their traffic prioritised over others, although it does seem not all the public feedback was actually genuine.
Seeing this is pretty annoying, and if net neutrality is rolled back in the US, people will be seeing a lot more of it. Here's how it works at the moment. Internet providers have to treat all online traffic equally. That means that they can't block or slow anything down, but authorities want that to end. They think the private sector will invest trillions of dollars into web services if their plan goes ahead. They even asked the country what it thought of the move, urging people to submit comments, and 22 million replied, the majority in favour of repealing net neutrality. Problem is, some users started to complain that they didn't write the comments. Then, a probe by the New York Attorney General revealed some feedback to the FCC plan was actually fake.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans were likely impersonated to drown out the views of real people and businesses.
Okay, now here's a straightforward example of the internet generating fake news in order to have the impression of public support for a policy that they want to ram through on the public. Unbelievable. The internet service providers admitted they generated these things in robots and sent them in as comments to the comment period for the FCC. Unbelievable. Hundreds of thousands of Americans were likely impersonated to drown out the views of real people and businesses. This was akin to identity theft on a massive scale. It's already happened, and they're going on this information to make this new policy. It's absolutely staggering. It's why people like Democracy Now! And others have pointed out that this is outrageous.
Well, Federal Communications Commission Chairman Ajit Pai issued a major order Tuesday titled Restoring Internet Freedom, in which he outlined his plan to dismantle landmark regulations that ensure equal access to the internet. Pai described his plan to overturn rules put in place by the Obama administration during an interview with the Heritage Foundation.
Essentially, my proposal to repeal the Obama administration's heavy-handed regulations adopted 2 years ago on a party-line vote that regulated the internet. And what I'm proposing to do is to get rid of those regulations.
Pai's proposal would repeal net neutrality rules that bar internet service providers from stopping or slowing down the delivery of websites and stop companies from charging extra fees for high-quality streaming. A formal vote on the plan is set for December 14th.
Okay, December 14th, that's this Thursday. Keep an eye on this because it's absolutely vital for our future.
Since its creation, the internet has been an open exchange of ideas and information, free from corporate control and influence. But corporations could soon have tremendous power over what we can access and share online, ending the internet as we know it.
You got mail.
Donald Trump's hand-picked chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, Ajit Pai, wants to abolish net neutrality. This important safeguard ensures that Americans have equal access to all the content that's available on the internet, videos, social media, e-commerce sites, and so on, at the same speeds. In 2015, the FCC strengthened net neutrality, passing landmark consumer protections. The rules prevented internet service providers from favoring some sites over others by slowing down connections or charging customers a fee for streaming or other services. But Pi wants to give telecommunications giants like Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T the upper hand. In a statement, Pi, a former Verizon executive himself, defended the rollback. He said, quote, "Under my proposal, the federal government will stop micromanaging the internet," unquote. That is baloney. His plan would be a huge gift to cable companies that would drive up prices and jeopardize our democracy. Corporate executives would have free rein to slow down and censor news or websites that don't match their political agenda, or give preference to their own content for any reason at all. Broadband providers could also charge customers high rates to access certain sites, or raise rates for internet companies to reach customers faster and at faster speeds. Either way, these price hikes would be passed along to you and me. Innovation would suffer too. Cable companies could severely hurt their competitors by blocking certain apps or online services. Small businesses who can't afford to pay higher rates could be squeezed out altogether. Now, broadband providers will claim that net neutrality really hurts consumers because it discourages investment in their networks. But in reality, investment has remained consistent. And during calls with investors, telecom executives themselves have even admitted that net neutrality has not hurt their businesses. In the modern age, unfettered access to the internet is essential to a vibrant democracy and a strong economy. Please, help stop this corporate power grab over what we can say and do online.
Okay, Robert Reich has a program on the web called Internet and Inequality Media. Take a look at it. Study this carefully, because searching for truth in the internet age is about to take a very dramatic turn this week. Net neutrality, the corporate capture of the web, and the crisis for survival of the internet integrity is really the most important issue for the survival of the democracy in which we live, for citizen information about health, safety, welfare, and the environment. How are you going to get access to information that corporations don't want you to see if corporations control all the access points? This is why thinking about a new kind of citizen science alliance is crucial.